Good morning, CW Henry School. This is Miss Davis coming to you virtually, bringing you another Black History Bite of the Day. If you tuned in with us yesterday, you learned that across the month of February, I'm recording and sharing daily videos that I'm calling my Black History Bites of the Day. Each day, I invite you to log on, listen, and join the virtual conversation. If you're listening on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below after you watch the video with any thoughts, questions, or reactions that you might have. Today, on February the 2nd, I'm going to share some important information about a very important person in our history, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Now, if you haven't heard of Dr. Woodson before, he is known as the father of Black history. Let's watch a short video going over some of the accomplishments he had in his life. He was born in 1875 to former slaves and the second African American to earn a degree from a doctorate from Harvard University. He was unable to attend school for much of his childhood and began high school at the age of 20. He went on to earn degrees from Berea College and the University of Chicago and Harvard University. Dr. Woodson founded what he called Negro History Week, which preceded what we now know as Black History Month. So he was born around 150 years ago in 1875, and he died around 70 years ago in the year 1950. So you might be wondering, why did he start what we now know as Black History Month? Well, there's a very specific reason for this. When he was studying in his universities, he was really disturbed and upset. He was disturbed that the history textbooks largely ignored America's Black population and the history of Black people. So he took on the challenge of writing Black Americans into the United States history. In order to do this, he established an association that he called the Study of Negro Life and History. In 1926, he developed, as we learned in the video, what he called Negro History Week. This week was expanded, and in 1976, we started to celebrate it as Black History Month. On this next slide, you're going to see a quote from the director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Let's read it together. Woodson created Negro History Week in 1926 to ensure that the school children be exposed to Black history. He chose the second week of February in order to celebrate the birthday of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. It's important to recognize that Negro History Week was not born in a vacuum, meaning it was connected to other things. In the 1920s in the United States, we saw a rise in the interest in African American Black culture. This was represented by the Harlem Renaissance, where writers like Langston Hughes, Georgia Douglas Johnson, Claude McKay, they wrote about the joys and the sorrows of Blackness. And musicians like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington captured the new rhythms of the cities, created in part by the thousands of Southern Blacks who had migrated to urban centers like Chicago. And artists like Aaron Douglas, Richard Barth, and Lois Jones created images that celebrated Blackness and provided more positive images of the African American experience. If you haven't heard of some of the names of these people I've highlighted in different colors, I will make sure to highlight them across the month of February in upcoming History Bites. So this concludes our Black History Bite of the day. Up at the top, you see a Google Doodle of Dr. Carter G. Woodson from a couple years ago. The sources where I got all of my information are linked at the bottom of this slide. I'm curious to know, what do you think about Dr. Woodson's vision? We know that he started this week in the 1920s, But now in 2021, what do you think? Does Black History Month serve the same purpose today as it did around 100 years ago? Why or why not? If you're watching this video on YouTube, I encourage you to leave any thoughts, questions, or comments below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our next Black History Bite of the Day. Bye.